This episode of the Wisdom Podcast is gonna answer two most important questions for entrepreneurs. Number one, how investors make decision to invest in a startup. And number two, how as an entrepreneur can you perfect your pitch and make a long-lasting impression on investors. Every investor in the world makes the decision to invest based on their own unique investment framework. And every entrepreneur must understand what that framework is if he or she wants to get funding from investors. In her book, The Dolphin and the Shark, investor and entrepreneur Namita Thapar explains what investment framework she uses when deciding to fund a startup. This book is born out of Namita Thapar's experiences of being a judge on Shark Tank India. In chapter 2, she explains the 4 F's of her funding framework. Number 1. Founder. I should see that fire in the belly, the drive, sincerity and humility in the founders, and feel excited about being part of their journey. As an investor, you are always betting on the person. Number 2. Foundation. They should be solving a deep-rooted problem. I prefer not to invest in a prototype or pre-revenue ventures. I prefer companies that have at least 1 to 2 crore rupees in annual sales so that they have established credibility and gained customer insights. Founders who have had faced challenges while launching their business will rarely fumble when asked questions. They will always be on top of their numbers. I always look for businesses that have an economic moat. Wait a second, what is an economic moat? In medieval Europe, moat used to be a deep and wide trench around the rampart of a fortified castle that was usually filled with water. Its job was to protect the castle. In the business world, just like the medieval castle, you need to protect your business from outsiders, from competitors. The term economic moat was popularized by Warren Buffett. It refers to a business's ability to maintain competitive advantages over its competitors in order to protect its long-term profits and market share. That's what Namita Thapar is referring to, a sustainable competitive advantage, which happens mostly when the product or service has a unique selling proposition, USP. This differentiates them from the rest and ensures that the business will be scalable and profitable. Number 3. Financials. I look for founders who believe in the fundamentals of cash flows versus cash burn. For sure, during the growth phase there is a time when profitability takes a hit, but the founder must be able to demonstrate a clear path to profitability with specific milestones and a robust action plan. Number 4. Fit. The venture should fit my expertise and personality as an investor. I should be able to add value. I should be able to help in terms of my expertise in manufacturing, global distribution, marketing and finance. I should feel the founder can benefit from my network in terms of investors and business leaders across diverse industries who can collaborate with founders of my portfolio companies. This fourth point is the most important. When pitching for funding, you shouldn't just go to any investor and ask for money. You should carefully pick and choose the investors that are interested in your industry. If your product is healthcare related and you are asking money from an investor who is mostly interested in the tech industry, no matter what you do, it would be pretty difficult to make him excited about your product. Warren Buffett calls it the circle of competence. He advocates limiting one's financial investments to areas where an individual may have limited understanding or expertise and rather concentrate on areas that one has the greatest familiarity with. In his 1996 letter to Berkshire Hathaway, Buffett explained, "What an investor needs is the ability to correctly evaluate selected business." Note that word selected. You don't have to be expert on every company or even many. You only have to be able to evaluate companies within your circle of competence. The size of that circle is not very important. Knowing its boundaries, however, is vital. He thinks every investor should operate within his or her circle of competence and only invest in fields that match a person's skills or expertise. That is the reason why Buffett did not invest in Amazon or Microsoft, as he admits that he had a very limited knowledge of technology. So pick your investors wisely and don't waste your energy on running behind every investor out there. Now, once you choose the right investor, how do you make a perfect pitch and convince him for funding? Namita Thapar, based on her experience as a Shark Tank judge, gives 7 key ingredients that make a perfect pitch. Number 1. Solve a deep-rooted problem. Investors want to understand the purpose and scalability of the venture. The founder should be able to clearly articulate the problem and specifically state the target audience market that is impacted by the problem. Number 2. Narrate your personal journey. This is the most important success mantra. A founder must nail this part. Investors ultimately invest in the person. They make a bet on their vision, and for that their personal journey must touch the hearts of investors. Educational background, family who inspired you, or what incident in your life inspired you to take up an entrepreneurial journey, setbacks and learnings along the way. The investors must be able to understand and feel the emotional connection. Number 3. Know your numbers. Now this one is non-negotiable. Just like understanding emotions is important, understanding numbers and the business plan is equally important for investors. A good founder must be able to explain basics like selling price, gross margin, stock keeping units, shelf life and sales mix, etc. They must be able to answer questions about consumer insights and competition and their differentiating factor in a convincing manner. Fumbling around these basics or not having the right numbers in the head shows a lack of thoroughness and attention to detail. Number 4. Stage of business. At Shark Tank India, prototype stage businesses did not get much attention from the sharks. The post-prototype yet pre-revenue businesses were interesting, but then again there was always a lingering doubt that the product market fit had not been proved through a launch and a consumer insights were still missing. The winners were the ones who had launched and had seen reasonable sales to get investor intrigued. They were the ones who could show a clear path to scale and profitability. Number 5. Touching and feeling the product or technology. Avid Shark Tank India watchers must have witnessed the delight with which we ate all the goodies that were served to us by food entrepreneurs. Nothing gets sharks to truly grasp the business more than trying out the product. Whether it was tasting the food, feeling the fabric of fashion wear products, checking out the packaging, logo design, using skincare products, or trying out the shoes, etc. It was also important to check the simplicity and style of the user interface of their technology, their app and website. Some of you will remember Aman and Anupam trying electric two-wheelers from Revamped Moto and Vinita zipping around in the EV from Booz. The ability to try and test the products gave a different kind of confidence and connect with the venture. Number 6. Stay open to feedback. This is one of the most critical points investors look at. When we invest in an entrepreneur, it is going to be a long journey and we want to be associated with people who are humble, hungry to learn and open to feedback. Very often we saw sharks loving the venture and getting impressed by the financials but passing on a deal just because they did not like the founder's attitude and found them too defensive with mind blocks when it came to listening to sharks' suggestions. Number 7. Master your negotiation style. When sharks or any investor offer a valuation, they fully expect the founders to counter-offer. But it is the manner of the counter-offer and how they negotiate that offers priceless insights into the founder's mind. Often founders were adamant and did not budge from their valuations, and sometimes the sharks caved in. Some sharks let the deal go. Often it seemed that the founder was open but some mentor or advisor was quoted as not allowing the valuation. This was a put-off and made several sharks sense that the founders lacked independent thinking. Here are a couple of tips around negotiation. If a startup already has an investor, founders can be firm and not down value. They can cite the anti-dilutive clause in their shareholder agreement. Where there is no prior investor, founder can use the multiple commanded by a similar type of company that has fundraised to peg their own range for valuation. Apart from these 7 points, there is one more important thing that investors look at before investing. This book did not cover that aspect, but I know a book that does. 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, a book that we covered in episode 11. It is the concept of projected future cash flows. Thiel writes that the value of a business today is the sum of all the money it will make in the future. A great business is defined by its ability to generate cash flows in the future. He says investors and he himself make decisions based on the predicted profits or projected future cash flows. That is probably why some companies get valued more even though they are not making profits right now. In episode 11 of the Wisdom Podcast, we explained this in a very detailed manner with appropriate examples. Apart from this, that episode covers everything you need to build a startup from scratch. From generating ideas to getting funded and creating a monopoly to just dominate the market. Be sure to check that one out.